All right. Hello, everybody, to the Two and a Half podcast, uh, starring the two and a half or two people, the two stars. I'm Sweaty Reed or Reed Weed, which will probably be on my channel. Uh,
I'm. Is it my turn?
yeah, you go ahead.
I am actually Edgy, or just Edgy. I'm Edgy. Hi guys.
Hi.
Welcome
So,
to Reed's channel.
I'm just gonna set up fodder footage. So, basically, the podcast idea has always been around making a show where we review two and a half episodes of Two and a Half Men each episode, and so that's what we're doing. That's what it is, and I don't really have that much experience with Two and a Half Men. I've always known about Two and a Half Men in my life. Like, I can only think of my life in the span of Two and a Half Men because it came out around the time when I was like 4 or 5. But Edgy here has a lot longer of a history with Two and a Half Men. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Me and my brother watched it a lot when we were kids. He was really into it, and then I was always in the stratosphere, because whenever he would watch like the edgier shit on TV, it would just be me appearing behind him like
Yeah.
a specter.
Yeah,
So
like in one of these episodes, Jake watching the
yeah, Jake watching
whatever movie.
Charlie behind him,
Yeah.
the movie behind him. That was
We'll get
literally
back
me.
to that. Yeah, right. And I always felt that same way with the kid. That like the only thing that I have with this show is I remember seeing the kid and I was like, wow, this kid is just like me, because like adults are stupid, and here I am playing my Nintendo games.
Right. Yep, he's exactly that stereotypical little
Like Gen Z
smart-ass
kid, yeah.
Yeah.
So we thought that this would be a fun thing. We will probably have another guest on the next episode.
We'll have our half man.
We'll have our half man on to be a part of it, but he's only here half of the time. That's the joke, So
He's a half man who's half time around.
So let's just start with episode 1. If you don't know what Two and a Half Men is, episode 1 like lays it out completely. Where you have the epic character. Yeah, go ahead.
It's really fast with it. Like, you immediately get thrown into Charlie is a Giga Chad,
Right.
Alan is the beta male, and
Jake is the kid.
Jake is the kid, and he is the half man, and he is being groomed into the Giga Chad
Right.
of the future.
Well,
But he's also he's like stupid, but he's also like really like a smart ass.
And I think that's that's what you see like in the first 2 episodes, is like that kind of bonding between Charlie and Jake, because it's like, Alan's already the dad. You assume that they have like a good relationship. It's not, Alan doesn't seem like a bad dad. He just seems bad with other things in life.
He's like,
but with Charlie, it's like he wants to kind of be a father role, but not really.
he's like, Charlie is like good at everything, except he's like brand new to the concept of having any sort of child around him. Because like, he's successful, he's rich, he has his jingles that he does, and he makes a lot of money off of it, and he has a big house, and he gets to have a house right on the beach and all that kind of stuff, and he can have any woman he wants basically. And then Alan, basic Giga Chad stuff, right? And then Alan has to be the opposite, where he's a good dad, but everything else about his life is just going to shit. He's getting a divorce, his ex-wife is gay, or that's what she says. I don't even know if that's
right.
correct.
I don't know that either. We'll get to that though, because that's like this. Is that the first episode?
Yeah, that was the first episode.
Yeah, they do that because honestly, the first episode, I'm worried because like that seems like that's like a real audience grabber. Like I bet in 2005 when his wife said that she was gay, that was like really big back then.
It was gay, but I said it was gay. It was big. It was probably big, but I feel like it would have been to be like
yeah, like shock humor, because it's like you never expect like anyone to be gay. Like, and even Alan's like response to it seems like a normal response.
Yeah, he didn't make a big deal. He was like, "Oh, let's put that on the list."
Let's put that on a list. I think. Well, I've seen that before. Like in F is for Family. I remember like the there's like a season where they go to marriage counseling, and one of the jokes is that one of the couples is actually like the guy is gay, and he's trying to like come out like in the middle of, and it's really awkward. But like that would be. We won't see that as much anymore because people. It's easier to come out of the closet. Before you get married.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely still
but could you?
People,
that would be scary. I don't know what I'd do. Anyways, but like Alan's a simp, so like he'll just like take it. He'll take it though.
He will. Well, I don't even know if he. Well, I guess he hasn't 100%. Maybe he doesn't believe that, but I also
I don't. Well, like
have a hard time because she was so blunt about it. It wasn't like, oh. She was like, "This is so hard for me to tell you." She's like, "I'm gay," but I felt like it was almost a little bit just to get him off his back and be something he can't work around, because that's what he was so desperate for, was something, just any kind of workaround.
Right, exactly. Because he just seems like it's so desperate for him to like cling on to this thing that's definitely falling apart.
That's
and
like
I get that.
So over.
Yeah, but like you also at some point you have to realize that like it's over, man, and this woman like is over with you.
She's done. Peace out.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to make the bit. I was gonna ask you in this episode, like who do you think we are in the cast of characters? Because at the beginning I thought that I would be Alan and you would be Charlie. But
I never thought that. Well,
I thought because I think it would be funnier for me to be Big Six's dad.
Yeah.
But then I realized it, and you're actually Big Six's dad. I don't know. I'd like to be Charlie Sheen.
I don't think you're. I think honestly, you would be, if we're talking about actual personality. Like you'll see later in later seasons that you're actually Jake.
Okay.
Technically, Big Six is Jake.
Yes,
but
right.
like when you see his
then Big Six is Alan. Then is that?
Yeah.
Big Six is a simp.
Because you know me, I'm not simping for anybody.
Right.
I'm too much of a Giga Chad. I have the money. I have the babes.
That's true. You have the money. You have the babes.
I have 2 beautiful boys.
Yeah. And I have no boys.
You have no boys.
I have Porky, but he died.
Oh yeah, rest in peace.
So the beginning starts off with Alan begging Charlie to let him stay because he just got kicked out of his house by his wife, who will later be revealing herself, coming out as a lesbian. And Charlie has to adjust to this, and I think he adjusts to it a lot better when he spends time with Jake, because first of all he finds out when he has to take care of Jake, babysit him for the first time. He goes to the grocery store and they have a little chat about cereal, because as Edgy said, Charlie is a theme guy. He makes music. He makes little jingles, and he made the jingles for the Maple Loops, which is not a real product, I believe, because if they were, then I would have eaten them.
Right.
And then it was then he realized, wow, this kid's like a chick magnet. And,
because they were staying together.
And that's the first time that Charlie's like, wow, this kid is actually pretty cool, though.
Yeah, because this like hot babe,
Yeah.
standing off to the side. She's like, "Wow, you guys are so cute. Your wife is so lucky."
Yeah,
And
right.
he's like, "Oh, I
Oh,
don't
I'm
have a
not
wife."
married.
And
Yeah, I'm
she's
not
like,
married. She's like,
"Oh, why did
oh,
you
okay.
leave?"
Yeah. And it's just, yeah, but well, I'm gonna be honest though. I'll say it. Charlie Sheen does look better with a kid around
I don't think you should be saying that.
him.
I don't think you know enough about Charlie Sheen to say that.
He just looks
Don't
better.
say.
He looks better. Like I think he just like looks like a look. I mean like I look at how the way Charlie Sheen looks, and I'd be worried about seeing him in a bar, but I wouldn't be that weirded out by like him sitting in a
But
park
if
with a
you like
kid.
know about
Because
him and the stuff
yes,
that came out later,
sure.
he should not be around
No,
children.
he should not be around kids. I'm just saying that, like, I think that, like, it pulls it. I think that, like, putting Charlie Sheen next to this kid makes him, like, have some humanity in him.
Oh yeah, in terms of having humanity, in terms of
Like, not an
looking
actual literal attractiveness, but, like, just the
more wholesome.
Yeah, right. Like, this whole entire thing is just, like, Charlie Sheen wholesomeness.
Like that's that first episode is actually like not horrible. Going into this, my expectation was that there was going to be a lot of misogynistic jokes. It's going to be a lot because I haven't seen this in like years and years and years. I haven't watched it since Ashton Kutcher took over. I think we watched like the first 3 episodes and they were awful.
Yeah, right. That was, like, the moment where, like, I heard it turned off from my audiences.
And it was so bad, and then I just never watched it again until now. So like seeing it, my expectations was it was going to be very sex heavy, going to be Charlie's a scumbag, Giga Chad, they're
Right, and then Alan's gonna be like just a pathetic pushover, which he is, but
which
like
he's exactly as I remember.
Yeah,
He has no spine.
like-
He's a man child.
but like in these early episodes at least, Charlie is like a lot more human, and I guess
He's
that's kind
so
of the
much
point.
nicer.
You have to do this to Charlie at the beginning of this show because I assume that later on he gets a lot more sexual, and it just like it kind of snowballs where he's like like the joke is the Flanderization is that he's just a sex addict
Right.
more than anything else.
It will.
But at this
so-
beginning, you have to give him this kid, in the 2.5 Men. You have to make that bond. So it's like, oh no, he actually cares about children. So he's not always about sex.
Right, because the first episode, like he actually has like real bonding moments, and it's really cute with Jake. And then I thought it was gonna be like, oh, these people are bumming in my house. Alan's such a bum. He just bums around my house. But when they during the episode they like leave and go to live with their mother.
Yeah,
grandmother.
Well, that starts specifically because of the lesbian thing. Like it was like right after the dinner date where his wife opened up that she was a lesbian, and he was like really frustrated. And I don't think that Jake playing poker with those guys was that big of a deal. I guess maybe
it was like a little inappropriate just because they were smoking around him.
Right. But
And,
yeah,
it's not great, but it was a little bit bonding. It was a little cute because he's like starting to see that a child's not just a burden. Like it does have Jake
has like a personality that like stems at like that he can relate to because he's just like this kid. He's he had a shitty relationship with his family. It seems.
Or he wanted them to be divorced or whatever. That's what he said. And he still doesn't have a good relationship with that. There's a lot of jokes shitting on the grandma, which is funny.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it's like this kind of like dynamic that sits well where like okay, yeah, so Alan gets mad at Jake, well not at Jake, but at Charlie for letting Jake participate in this poker game, and I don't think it's specifically because of the poker game, but it's just the external factor that his wife is now a lesbian, and so he takes it out by moving over and staying with his mom, and Charlie he starts to like think about Jake more, and like ruins his fucking sex afternoon thinking about it. And he's like, I want he realizes that like, hey, maybe I do want this kid in my life. Because he's like not a bad kid.
because with that lady, he was like, "Do you ever think about having kids?" And
I
she's
love
like,
that
"We have a
joke.
good thing
Yeah,
going.
and then
Don't mess us up."
he calls the woman that's like obsessed and stalking her, which is also in this episode, and she like sneaks in and she glues like her Charlie's
The
cabinet
cabinet,
shut, and it's like funny, but then he calls her and he's like, "Hey, have you ever like thought about like settling down with me and having a kid?" And then even the stalker's like, "Don't you think that you're like ruining something, that we're having something good right now?"
she's like, "What? We have a good thing. Why would you mess it up?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "All right."
I just think that it's funny that a stalker would say that. I think that's like a well played joke.
So
Yeah, but it was a great episode. Yeah, but at the end, Charlie comes over to his mom's place and convinces Alan to get Jake out of there and live with him instead because, grandmother smothering is bad for child development, I guess.
right.
Which
So
I guess is...
I agree. I mean, the way that she acts was just so hot and cold.
Yeah, right.
But it was just very surprising to me the fact that he was the one that approached them and was like, "Please come live with me. Like,
Yeah.
my life is enriched with both of you guys." Well, it was enriched with Jake, but like, Alan's the package deal.
Mhm.
But he's like, "My life is actually better with these two and having some family in my life instead of just the instability of one night stands and people who don't want to, have further emotional involvement," which is probably the only thing that he's sought out beforehand, is having everybody around him be at a distance.
Mhm. Yeah, it really humanizes Charlie's character. And that's like something that I thought was going to be... I mean, I guess it's kind of just like, because where Charlie turned... Everyone knows what happens to Charlie Sheen. Like, it's like everyone knows he kind of goes crazy. So you think like an actor like that wouldn't get like a character like that.
Right. And like...
Or you don't think of him that way anymore. Like, there's no way to see Charlie Sheen this way anymore, the way that this show tries to represent him.
Yeah, because when I was watching like a TikTok view, I think it was literally yesterday, and they were talking about all the shits Charlie Sheen has gone through, and she was like, "Yeah, like the 2.5 Men is loosely based off of Charlie Sheen's like life, so it is like, especially since the character is named after him, it is supposed to be at least a parallel to Charlie's life, but it definitely does bring a little bit of lighter humanity to him."
Well, yeah, I feel like that's kind of that's like the point of the show, is to humanize him, because you gotta humanize Charlie Sheen or else no one will actually watch him. It's like you have to have the cool playboy, but you have to have the cool playboy that like cares,
has a heart.
Yeah, that has a heart, which is true for all media, I think. You gotta have someone with heart in it, and Charlie Sheen definitely proves that he has heart, and I think it, like, even the second episode is pretty great with that. So the ending of this episode, Alan agrees that he should live with Charlie, so that they move in, and that's 2.5 Men. Second episode. So this one's all about like discipline, where like Jake is in trouble because he did something at his mom's house, and so Alan has to ground him. And the episode is basically Charlie having to deal with a kid for the first time seriously and trying to discipline him, because Jake will agree that he won't do these things with Charlie, but he'll do them anyways. And that's like a child-kid conflict. That's like, I remember when I was a kid and I used to, like, adults would ask me to do something, and even though like I knew that they didn't want me to do it, I would do it anyways. And I wouldn't think it was that big of a deal, but like, for adults, it's like, you ask an adult something, they'll do it. And that's the end of it.
Right, like you don't have to punish adults or like teach them those lessons, like
right, and
you have that self-control, but like a kid is gonna do kid shit. He's gonna leave, like the things that he was doing was he was feeding the seagulls, he was leaving doors and windows open, and he was leaving his juice box on Charlie's precious piano where he does his work and makes his music. And he was like, don't do that so it doesn't leave a ring. And then every time he comes into the room, there's a juice box on the piano. He just doesn't think about it because he doesn't care about that ring on the piano the way Charlie cares about it, because that's something that he wants to be pristine. He wants it to be nice. And then, when you're a kid, you don't fucking care about rings on tables. You're just going to leave a water glass somewhere without a coaster because that's easier than trying to figure out shit with a coaster.
Yeah, so that's the whole entire episode. Most of the episode is relating to the seagull bit, where like more seagulls come, and there's a point where there's all the seagulls somehow get into Charlie's room, and now
it was Jake's room.
Oh, it was Jake's room? Okay.
Yeah. So I thought it was Charlie's room too until he said, "Oh, there's a bunch of seagulls in Jake's room." I just
got it. Okay. Yeah, because Charlie's room is upstairs. That is Jake's room. They just look alike. That makes sense though.
They probably have like 2 bedroom sets.
Yeah, right. Where does Alan sleep then? Anyways. So all the seagulls get into Jake's room, and now it's just funny because now they're just all in there, and they have like bits trying to get the seagulls out. There's like this really good bit in the second episode where Charlie takes like seagull bait. He walks into the room to see the seagulls, and like all the seagulls are there, and like most of them are like CGI green screened, and you can see like the green and the chroma key and stuff.
Yeah, you can see like they had to Photoshop like the sea out from behind them, so you can see that like white, sea glow when you videotape the sea. It has that bluish.
Yeah, right. It's so
and
funny.
You can definitely see that they didn't get close enough.
Because like, when did this show come out again? It's like, this is like 2004, so it's like it doesn't make that much. It makes sense because like it's so quick of a cut. Like people aren't gonna notice
care.
it.
But us, what, 10 years, 20 years in the future?
Yeah, we notice
we're
it.
Gonna
and
notice.
We're making an episode. we're literally talking about it. Like, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it's so goofy. It's so goofy. I think it adds kind of a quality to the episode, because I feel like 2.5 Men is so low budget, it feels, and like everything that kind of, the good parts of 2.5 Men is the writing. If there's anything about it that I like. Because it's like,
actually, like, the jokes are really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have a lot of jokes, and usually with like sitcoms that have the laugh track still, I usually get so annoyed by that. It's my least favorite TV trope ever. But with this one, because of the way the jokes are set up, like you don't even really notice the laugh track. It's not
I agree.
domineering.
Yeah, right. Because, well, like, if I'm not wrong, this show was like made under a live studio audience, and if I'm not wrong, like, instead of like built-in laughter like most Disney Channel shows or like other
I would have
had.
thought that I would have seen something, but I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe.
I mean, usually more adult-centered comedies are able to get away with that because the jokes are actually funny.
Yeah, that's true. I hate those Disney sitcoms. They're so dog shit. And like you notice the laugh track and you're like, was that really funny?
The episode like goes on. There's that good TV bit that we were talking about. That's before the seagull thing, where like Jake is supposed to be disciplined, and so Alan is like, yeah, he's grounded. He's not allowed to watch TV, and Charlie's like understands that, and he's kind of doing the same thing that Jake's doing to him. You know what I mean? Charlie's doing the same thing to Alan as Jake is doing to Charlie, and it kind of shows a lot of character development, because like Alan like is understanding with Charlie's like take on it, but he's also a kid. Like, you have to discipline him, and I don't think that Alan is really able to articulate to Charlie why that's important until like the end, when there's seagulls inside Jake's room, and like he realizes why you have to be firm and grounded and like discipline Jake, because he's a kid, and he means well, but he doesn't know well.
Right, exactly. And the TV bit was like Charlie was up late watching TV or a movie, and Jake is behind him in his pajamas because he was supposed to be in bed, and he like is watching the TV, and he's like, "Oh, is that guy the good guy?" And Charlie's like, "Go to bed. You're not supposed to be watching TV." And Jake is like, "Is that the good guy?" And he's like, "Yes, he's the good guy."
That's
And
like
then slowly,
iconic, like uncle nephew bonding, though.
I know,
Like,
and then like Jake gets slowly closer and closer, like, and gets cozier on the couch, like
uh-huh.
he sits on the arm, and then he's fully sitting with Charlie eating popcorn, which
Yeah,
is
and
what I
that's
would do when I was grounded.
right, and it's like iconic Charlie Sheen wholesomeness, because you do that too. You know, you wouldn't let your nephew like, sure he's grounded, but like he can enjoy a movie.
A little bit of a movie, and I think it was so funny, like, because in the middle of that sequence, like, it was switched and it was Charlie asking Jake questions about the movie, about who people were.
Hmm.
So yeah, just some more iconic wholesomeness.
The ending, like the ending part of the episode is like really great. The resolution and stuff, where Charlie, so Jake feels bad for putting all the seagulls inside his room, and so Alan's like, make an apology card, because Charlie's pissed at Jake,
And he starts like completely cutting him off, icing him out, not talking to him.
Yeah, when he gives him the apology card, Charlie looks at it for a second and puts it away, kind of dismissing it, and that shit hurts. I get that,
especially since he did actually even though it's fake, it's like a set, probably someone might have helped him make it or whatever. It did actually
it looked cute.
It was cute.
And I don't know. And Alan is looking, calling out Charlie, being like, you can't just shut out a kid. And they kind of have that conversation in the middle of a bit where Charlie's trying to get the seagulls out by throwing a bucket of bait into outside the window. But then the birds catch the bucket while they're trying to throw it outside of the window. And so
they just
now there's just more.
For the bucket
yeah,
first.
Now there's more seagulls inside the bedroom than ever. And then after that, they have a little bit more banter, and Charlie realizes his mistake and goes out there, and he makes up for it by doing the best move, buying kids the video games, because kids won't make a mess of their room if you give them video games.
Well, the point of him buying the Xbox was to take it away for a month and punish him.
Yeah, which is a funny bit too. I mean, it's a win-win in a sense. You teach Jake a lesson, but you also you give him something, so never will he need to feed the seagulls. Gaming, that's what us Gen Zers became, gamers instead of rambunctious children.
True. I feel like he this is from the beginning of the episode, but when you're talking about I don't know, doing Chad things with Jake, at the beginning they played sock golf.
Yeah, and that was cute.
I thought it was really cute because it's Charlie coming up with an actual game for them to play just off the top of his head, just because he actually wants to spend time with Jake. I just thought that was cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It made him look really wholesome, which again is that's the whole point of these first two episodes. I think is just trying to get that bond, because if you don't set in this bond that Charlie likes Jake early on, then you're gonna think that Charlie hates Jake,
right?
Because he's just a kid.
And he's a Giga Chad,
and he has to get laid, and I don't blame that man. I need to get laid too, so.
Yeah. Yep, there's a lot of that going on, huh?
Right. So, kids ruin that. I hate young people.
Curse them youngins. Always cock blocking. Read.
Always cock blocking me. All right. So in these episodes, like episode by episode, the odd episodes are going to review 2.5 episodes, which would be like so this first episode, the second episode, and we'll watch a half of the third episode. And then in the third episode, we're going to talk about the first half, and then we're going to predict what's going to happen in the second half. And then in the second episode, the episode after this, we'll reflect on it while talking about the third episode. So the third episode starts off with Jake is moving some stuff into his room because he wants his room to be more homey. Because I think he stays only on the weekends with the two other men. Which is kind of...
They have like a split custody deal.
Yeah. So he kind of stays sometimes, but he wants to make his room more homey. And so he brings his guinea pig, Porky.
Who is the fattest guinea pig
Yeah.
I've ever... I think sometimes it's a stuffed one, and they made the stuffed one massive. But then, and I was like, that's a really big guinea pig. I'm pretty sure it's fake.
Yeah,
but
the one in the cage, but the one Jake holds, like when Charlie Sheen wakes up, is like a real guinea pig.
But that one is also a massive guinea pig.
Yeah, they're chunky. I never owned a guinea pig. I've always owned like fish.
Oh, I had 2 guinea pigs when I was in elementary school. And I love them. They were very cute. They were not as chunky as that guinea pig.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that guinea pig was actually a boy, and mine were girls.
Right.
Female superiority. Sorry.
So after that was set up, Alan is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a great weekend with my son. And so they all plan to go to Disneyland, and they do. Which I guess was kind of cool, but Jake, in the middle of like that like montage, it's kind of like quick. They just show a map of them driving to Disneyland and then driving back to where they live. Yeah, and that's it. And then they show them wearing like a bunch of like Disney hats.
Oh yeah.
What did this channel? Okay, so it's Peacock that is streaming, that has streaming rights. Did this show come out on NBC?
I would have to look it up. I don't really remember. I just know. No,
I don't have my phone on me. I've been trying to look.
Oh, I can. Hold on, let me pull it up.
But like, I think it's kind of interesting that they point out Disneyland. I guess not, because this does take place in California.
Yeah, and
it is supposed to be Charlie
the grandma.
Yeah, and the grandma didn't want to go.
It's CBS.
It was CBS. That makes sense because Big Bang Theory was on CBS, but CBS is Paramount owned.
Probably just switch between hands, man. It's
right. Those right distribution. Young Sheldon's on Max, even though that's a CBS show too. It makes sense because again, all the showrunner of all of these. Yeah. So yeah, they go to Disneyland, and then when they leave, like, Jake isn't really that happy for some reason. He's just tired. He goes to bed, and then they wake up the next morning, and Jake isn't feeling well. They talked about how he had an ear infection.
Oh yeah, that's why they went to Disney, is because he couldn't go swimming.
Yeah.
Because he had an ear.
And then his ear infection got worse, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I think this is an Alan-centric episode, and it kind of ends off halfway, because, when Alan finally gets home from dropping Jake off at his mom's and getting back at Charlie's, Charlie has to open up and admit that Porky is dead. And Alan starts crying, and it's not because Porky's dead, but just because, his life is collapsing. And there's just a joke about how there's, been 4 Porkies.
Oh yeah, Jake's gonna be fine. There's been 4 Porkies. He outgrows them faster than he outgrows shoes.
Yeah, it's funny, but but like Alan's like depressed because he's like, my life is falling apart. Like,
And
yeah.
now I have a dead guinea pig.
Because
And then Charlie's
I'm
like, "You
worried
want
that
to
my
throw the?"
son doesn't want to spend time with me. I'm worried that yeah, my like Porky's dead, and that was like kind of, I feel like that was kind of like a win for him. Alan was getting Porky at his house, because that's like a, yeah, I feel like if I was a divorced parent and my kid let me take care of his living pet, like I'd feel like I was like the superior parent.
Oh yeah. Oh, and when Jake was actually talking about feeling sick, he was like, "I want to go to my real home with my mom."
Yeah, and that
I was
shit
like, "Oh,
like that shit has to hurt. Like as
yeah."
a dad. Um
It is a confusing time, you
yeah,
know.
so I think the second half of the episode is Alan trying to do what he always does, which is like work himself to try to
He's
get his son,
overcompensating.
overcompensate for the fact that maybe his son was sick. Uh and either Charlie's gonna make him realize that, or maybe Jake's gonna make him realize that, like through like a subconscious thing, and
Maybe
then they're
Jake,
gonna reconcile.
yeah, maybe Jake will be like, "You're suffocating me," or like, "It's too much," or
Yeah, like his wife, but it's like instead Alan's gonna take it like for factor because it's his son instead of his wife, which is like kind of sad, but I get it. Sometimes you need to hear it from like your offspring.
yeah. It's harder. I mean, like, because I don't even feel like he's really listening to his like wife, which shows like
But like I think that's also like the joke is that he's soft, but he also like doesn't.
he's not really giving her point of view any merit, or like she's like, "I can't do this, like I don't like being with you, I don't want to be married to you anymore, just let me go, dog." And he is doing everything in his power to ignore her wishes so he can force his own will upon her. And it's like, yeah, he's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, he's almost controlling with how needy and suffocating he is.
That's definitely. I assume that's gonna be a character trait that's gonna be like run out of him. Like, of course, he's always gonna probably have some kind of like issues relating to his wife, but like, you know, he's gonna have to move on with the fact that she's no longer like his wife.
Yeah, because she's probably not gonna be on the show forever. In my opinion, I feel like she's just gonna kind of peter out, and then it's gonna be, you know,
Just the
Alan
two and a
and
half
Sulu.
men.
Just
Yeah.
the 2.5 men. It's always Jake and Charlie and Alan's trying to find hot babes, and Charlie's stealing the hot babes from Alan.
Yeah, and it's not fair. I think that Alan deserves something, but it's kind of hard.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he gets less.
Yeah. Well,
He's so much, but that's also his character. I mean, it's good character writing that you already understand the frustrations of the people around him just from
two and a half episodes.
Yeah, literally.
You understand the 2.5 men in 2.5 episodes, and I think that really sells the show.
Really makes it clear what it's about. It's about Giga Chad, needy man, and
boy.
Small child.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good enough for this episode.
Yeah.
We almost got 40 minutes in, and I thought that was like a really great dialogue. So hopefully we can keep on pushing these out, and we can do this on a weekly basis until we're done with the series.
Yeah. I was really easy though. When I was watching the thing and I was like taking notes and writing stuff down, I was like, man, am I gonna be able to say anything interesting about this TV show?
I'm worried only because, like, you know, we can't maybe the plots are good enough to do it because we were able to do it with these, but like, I don't know, maybe since people already know the characters. We won't have to explain it again over and over. And
Yeah.
maybe that will like cut. I think that this might be the longest episode. I hope so. I hope it's shorter, like maybe like 30 or 20 minutes. Because I
Right.
think those are fine. Like those are digestible. But 40 minutes is fine. So thank you all for watching. You can subscribe to my channel or like my content. Or not.
Boo, don't like his content. Boo.
Yeah. Well, until then,